The Great Lakes hold 21% of the world's surface fresh water. 40 million people drink from them. $6 trillion of business runs on them. And right now, every one of them is dropping. Lake Michigan-Huron is set to sit 7 to 8 inches below its long-term average through the summer. Nearly half the Midwest was marked as drought or unusually dry this winter. The cargo ships that keep America's steel mills alive are quietly leaving cargo behind. Something has changed in the world's biggest freshwater system, and the worry around it is growing. 5 years ago, the biggest problem on the Great Lakes was too much water. In 2020, waves were crashing over Lakeshore Drive in Chicago. Beachfront homes along the Lake Michigan coast were sliding into the water. Whole sections of Michigan's M25 highway along Lake Huron were close to falling apart. Property owners in Indiana were losing 100 feet of beachfront in a single season. Emergency seawalls were going up along the Indiana dunes to hold back the surf. Today, cargo ship captains are standing on the bridge with a depth gauge and a calculator, trying to figure out how much less cargo they can carry without hitting bottom. That's how fast the system flipped. So, what is actually going on right now? As of April 2026, the weekly federal report on Great Lakes water levels reads like this. Lake Superior sits 4 inches below its April average. Lake Michigan-Huron sits 6 inches below. Lake Erie sits 4 inches below. Lake Ontario is the odd one out, actually 5 inches above average, and Lake St. Clair is holding about 1 inch above. Why Ontario? Because unlike the other 4 lakes, Lake Ontario's outflow is actively controlled. A deal between the United States and Canada lets managers change how much water leaves the lake through the St. Lawrence River based on a set plan. The upper 4 lakes are basically at the mercy of rain, snow, and evaporation. Ontario gets managed. That is why it's acting differently from the rest of the system. A few inches doesn't sound like a big deal. That's the reaction when those numbers come up in casual talk. Wait for the math. Lake Michigan alone is 22,400 square miles. Every single inch of Lake Michigan stands for roughly 390 billion gallons of water. Across all 5 Great Lakes combined, 1 inch is about 1.6 trillion gallons. A single foot is nearly 20 trillion. These are not small changes. They are huge amounts hidden inside small-sounding numbers. Want a comparison that makes it real? The city of Chicago pulls water out of Lake Michigan every single day through the man-made reversal of the Chicago River. That pull moves 2.1 billion gallons per day, 365 days a year. A truly huge ongoing draw. And the measurable effect on Lake Michigan's water level from that steady drain? About 1 inch. 1 inch. The total bottled water used in the United States for a full year, which is around 13.7 billion gallons, is roughly 1/30th of what it takes to lower Lake Michigan by that same single inch. These lakes do not move easily. When they move at all, something big is happening. And here is the detail that should grab you. This is the first time every upper Great Lake has been below its long-term average at the same time in over 10 years. The last long stretch of low water ran from 1998 to 2013, and it was brutal. Beaches grew wider, docks sat on dry ground, cargo ships hit bottom in shipping lanes. That stretch ended in January 2013, when Lake Michigan-Huron hit 576.02 feet, the lowest monthly reading ever recorded since they started measuring in 1918. For 13 years after that, people thought the low water stretch was behind us. Water came back, lakes climbed. By 2020, most of the Great Lakes had set all-time record highs. The problem wasn't drought anymore, it was flooding. Now things are swinging back, and they are swinging fast. Lake Michigan dropped 17 inches between January 2024 and January 2026. In 24 months, that is nearly 7 trillion gallons of fresh water, gone from one basin. Enough to supply every home in the United States for roughly 9 months. And it did not leave because somebody opened a drain. It left because of a water balance rule so simple, it's almost a joke. Rain and snow plus runoff minus evaporation. That is it. When more water comes in than leaves, the lakes rise. When more leaves than comes in, they fall. For most of the last 10 years, the math tilted heavily toward coming in. The 5-year stretch from 2015 to 2020 was the wettest the Great Lakes Basin had seen since the late 1890s. 120 years of records, and those 5 years were the wettest. Rain and snow kept pounding the basin, runoff kept climbing. Lake levels